Good evening. I am coming to you guys live, and yes, a couple minutes after 8 p.m. My apologies. There's been quite a dust-up here at the State House here in Maine. And I am here to inform you that I have just left the House chamber behind me, where the majority, the Democrats here in Augusta, have silenced me for speaking up for Maine girls. Tonight, I was censured by Augusta Democrats, which means I am no longer allowed to vote or to speak on the floor on behalf of my constituents because of the post that I made last week showing that there are biological males participating in girls' sports and taking their place here in Maine. And unfortunately, I was not even given the respect of being able to give my floor speech in defense of Maine girls on the floor tonight. It was disrupted multiple times, and in the end, I was not able to deliver it. So I'm coming to you live tonight to deliver the floor speech that I was not allowed to give, that I was silenced from giving on behalf of Maine girls and women's sports. Last Monday, at the Maine State Track Championship, a young man took first place in the girls' pole vault. Last year, he took 5th place in a regional meet, competing as a young man, and then 10th place at the state championship, again competing as a young man. He last competed as a young man in June of last year, and yet this year, he won the girls' state championship in Maine. This young man got fame for being state champion, while the rightful winner of the girls' pole vault lost out on her moment of fame. And you know what? I can just only picture that every feminist who worked so hard to get women to where we are today is rolling over in their grave to see this. That evening, I posted side-by-side photos of the athlete this year and last, and it went viral, spreading the news across the country that Maine was continuing to allow biological males to participate in girls' sports and dominate female athletes. Why did it receive such a strong reaction? Because Mainers and Americans across the country understand the basic truth. Boys participating in girls' sports is not fair. The progressive left would have us to believe that allowing a biologically male athlete to dominate in a girls' league is somehow inclusive and pro-woman. What a twisted perspective. In 1967, Catherine Switzer was the first woman to run the Boston Marathon against regulations. She was literally physically attacked by the race director, who attempted to physically remove her from the race. When I think about the tremendous accomplishments that women have made in sports since that time, in contrast with a culture that is demanding that we push aside women and girls to satisfy a woke agenda, I can only imagine the reactions of those feminists in years past. Maine Democrats censured me because I posted pictures of a minor. The state championship is a public event. The individual in question determined of his own free will to participate, and his photos are posted publicly on multiple websites. He was even publicly photographed holding a sign that said "State Champ." Here's the truth. Maine Democrats who are trying to cancel me are doing so because they know that this issue is unpopular, both in Maine and across the country. And they don't want to have a conversation or a debate about the dangers that this issue presents to women and their rights. They would rather destroy women's sports than have an honest and open debate. This championship was not just another competition. It was a stark reminder of how Augusta Democrats have utterly failed to protect Maine girls, young female athletes who have trained for years to compete on a level playing field are now being forced to step aside while biological males claim titles and scholarships meant for them. And yet, those in power, that chamber behind me, turn a blind eye to the undeniable biological differences that give male athletes an advantage over female competitors. So I ask you tonight, as I wish I could have asked my House chamber, if we do not speak up, who will? The response to this injustice perpetrated on Maine girls has been overwhelming. That post has reached millions of people, generating thousands of reactions, shares, and comments from Mainers who refuse to stand by and let this happen. People are outraged on behalf of Maine girls, and they are rightfully outraged. They see the unfairness and that women's sports are being destroyed, and they know that it must stop. This is not just about one race. It's not about one event. This is about the integrity of women's sports across the board and women's rights overall, and that must not be diminished. Some folks have suggested that the girls should simply refuse to compete. Just don't compete when there are biological males going against you. Boycott their own sport. No. Why would we expect a teenage girl to take a stand when the very adults in power refuse to? These girls have worked tirelessly to reach their athletic goals, and now they're being told that if they don't like competing against boys, that the burden to stop it rests on them. That is unacceptable. Governor Mills and Augusta Democrats are so dug in on this radical political agenda that they are willing to throw away $250 million in federal education aid rather than follow long existing federal law, Title IX. By taking this position, they make it abundantly clear that they see girls and women as second-class citizens and are demanding that they give up their rights to serve a fanatical cultural agenda. This battle is much bigger than one legal dispute. It is about standing up for Maine girls who have been left behind and who are being canceled. Ultimately, Maine's violation of the federal guidance is a rejection of what the American people and our fellow Mainers want. Unlike progressives in Augusta, most Mainers, most Americans, see that this is a common sense issue. Recent polling found that 80% of Americans, including a majority of Democrats, do not believe that biologically male athletes should compete in women's sports. Women competing in sports on a level and fair playing field is a hard-won right, guaranteed under the laws of our country. This should not be a partisan issue, and it isn't outside of this dome. Keeping men out of women's sports is common sense, and it's necessary to restore our American values of equality and fairness. It is simple. Biological males should not be participating in girls' sports. It is unfair, unsafe, and unacceptable. Maine girls and female athletes across the country deserve better. But Maine girls are not going to receive justice from this legislature that has censured me for speaking up on their behalf. Today, I have been canceled by a man for speaking up for Maine girls. Canceled for speaking up in defense of women's sports, women's rights, and the thousands of young women who want to be able to compete on a fair and level playing field. That is the message that the Speaker of the House sent tonight, and Maine Democrats, Augusta Democrats, that woke ideology demands that you cancel girls and you cancel the women speaking up on their behalf. The day after I made my post, the Speaker emailed and he called me to demand that I take my post down. And I expected that. When you shine a spotlight on the truth, you can expect strong opposition. I asked him in that conversation if he was going to support Maine girls and ensure that biological males could not participate in girls' sports. And it's unfortunate, but not surprising, that he would not make that commitment. And now we see tonight, Maine girls deserve fairness. And at the end of the day, it's up to us to demand it. Let it not be said that we stayed silent. Instead, together, let we the people speak up for Maine girls. This fight is far from over, and I'm counting on my fellow Mainers to stand with me and speak up for girls. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you for listening to the speech that should have been delivered on the floor, but was canceled. Thank you for joining with me to speak up for girls. I will talk to you all again very, very soon.